So first of all, many, many congratulations on behalf of Insight Academy on achieving this great success.
Thank you so much once again.
How are you feeling?
Well, the feeling is great because I have been preparing for this moment for the past 3 years, and today it is here. And like getting a rank at like getting such a high rank, and in basically after your first interview, that is basically I cannot express it in words. And seeing the happy faces of my parents and my friends and the people coming to meet me, so it's a great feeling.
So what has changed in your life, as in since you got the result out and before when you were preparing?
Well, the most incredible change is basically I was in social isolation for the past 2 years, and suddenly I have been meeting like around hundreds of people every day. So that is the biggest change. And
Okay, so Vinayak, we would like to know how was your journey of your preparation. The exam has been divided in three stages. And first of all, we will start with prelims. And tell us from the very beginning of when you started preparing and how you started your preparation.
so actually, I had this feeling about civil services that I wanted to do it when in like 2015 when I was an engineering student. But at that time, I didn't have this clarity of mindset that I want to do civil services for sure. So I went to do my master's in the US. I did my master's from Columbia University. Then I worked in the US for 1 year. And during this job, I was working with the US government as well as US civil servants. And for a project, I was working in working with some IAS officers from India. So at the time, I realized that I wanted to go into policy making and policy implementation rather than just staying restricted to research. And I decided that I would pursue civil services. Like the dream which I had in 2015, a little bit, it resurfaced. And it became much more blatant that I wanted to do this only for the next part of my career. I thought that I should not waste time. Like rather than going to India and preparing, I started preparing from the US itself. So I started reading the NCRTs, the standard reference books, starting like I started them as story books so that I'll be interested in reading further. So in that sense, that was a good thing which I did. I believe that I already had a foundation prepared before I came back to India.
That's amazing. So your first attempt was in 2019?
Yes.
Okay, so now prelims, as you know, is approaching for the students who are appearing in this year's exam. So what would you like to give them tips or strategy or something that can benefit them at the last moment, because hardly 10 days are left. So what would you suggest them? How should they prepare? Should they take more mocks or should they just relax and keep revising?
Well, I would say that you cannot change anything in the next 10 days. And I believe that the students should keep confidence in their preparation, which they have done for the past 1 year, I would believe. And that is the way to go ahead with a positive mindset till I would say till then for the next 2 to 3 days until 3rd of October. Like students can give 1 or 2 full length tests. And right now they need not read anything new. They just need to keep revising stuff and keep believing in oneself, I would say. Like for prelims, you always know only 30 to 40 answers for sure, but for next 40 to 50 questions you have to approach them by elimination or sometimes even by gut feeling.
Okay, so Vinayak, there are a lot of sources available in the market as far as the preparation for general studies is concerned. So what was your strategy about deciding on your book list?
Well, I refer to the standard book list because I was in the US, as I said. I didn't have any coaching. I didn't have any access to coaching for prelims as well as mains. For interviews, I did attend some mocks, but I have mostly prepared by self-study. And then going on those lines, I knew that rather than reading 10 sources one time, I was supposed to read one source 10 times because I was working, I was doing a job. So my strategy was keeping one source and reading it multiple times. After finishing that source, I was trying to revise it twice because I was going in modular ways. The first I would finish history, then I would finish geography rather than doing 2 to 3 subjects on the same day. For example, for polity, I only read Lakshmikant. I didn't even read the NCRTs. So these were my sources, especially for prelims. For mains, this time around, I tried to do a lot of value addition, because in the first mains I received I secured good marks in GS1 and GS4, but GS2 and GS3 were dreadful for me in the first mains. So I re-strategized that, and then I again, went to the basics. For example, for GS2, you need the articles in the constitution. You need to know the court judgments, the committee recommendations. So I kept very limited sources, but I was revising them like 4 or 5 times for prelims, and again 4 to 5 times for mains. So that is basically like around 9 to 10 revisions before going into the mains, and that is the case when you are able to reproduce it more in the examination.
Okay, now specific to your mains preparation, like there is so many new subjects that comes up which are not important for prelims. What was your strategy for those subjects?
So after the first prelims, when I qualified the first prelims, like everything was new for me. So like world history, then there's society, there's governance. So I did prepare notes a little bit at that time, because I was trying to basically cover everything at least once before my mains examination. So that helped me a little bit, because when I went and as I said, immediately after my mathematics paper 1 in the first mains examination, I knew that I was not going to qualify for the interviews. So I immediately started my preparation in October 2019. So I had a lot of time of 2 to 3 months before the results were out for like 2019 interviews.
Right.
So during that time, I finished like whatever was remaining in terms of maths syllabus. Then I also started, taking a look at the world history, as well as new subjects like governance, ethics. I tried to prepare more. So it was during this time that I prepared. But for governance, I was doing a little bit more. I was actually trying to look at the government schemes or the government policies which actually exist on the ground, and if I could, include them into my answers, so that will add value to my answers. So depending on the cost benefit, I was trying to prepare. I was trying to devote more time to the subjects which have more work. GS3 is one area wherein there are a lot of new subjects coming in. For example, there's internal security, there's disaster management, and around 120 marks of your GS3 paper is dependent on these new subjects. So I put a lot of time in the second attempt for these subjects. I had like...
Or how many mock tests did you take in particular for prelims as well as for mains?
Well, for prelims, I believe that it completely depends on your mock tests, because that is where you learn the techniques of elimination. That is where you learn to actually finish the paper, like at least one reading in 1 hour, and then the second reading in another half hour, and then like the last 30 minutes for marking your answers in the paper. So during the first prelims, I had solved around 50 question papers. During the second prelims, I had more time, and I solved about 100, I solved about 70 to 80 question papers. So around 7,000 to 8,000 MCQs. For mains, during the first attempt, I joined a test series. I gave around seven tests. But that helped me at least, get to know that I was able to structure my answers. But I needed content. Like I knew how to write an answer, but I did not know at that time what to write in an answer, because I was completely lagging with respect to the knowledge base which is required for the mains. So in the second mains, I at least had that confidence that I was able to structure the questions, because even the results proved that I had good marks in GS1 and GS4, but not in GS2 and GS3, because I was lacking content. So during the second attempt, I actually not only focused on the test series, but I also started focusing on like daily answer writing, like writing answers, 4 to 5 answers, getting them checked from fellow friends who are also writing the examination or who have already qualified the examination. So during this time around, I believe that I solved around 20 to 21 full-length tests, and that helped me a lot.
Okay, so this was about the general studies section. Now there's another important paper, essay paper. And there are so many students who struggle with that. So how did you prepare for that paper?
So this is like one funny paper I would mention. Like when I went to the first examination, when I was looking into previous year question papers, I was very good in philosophical essays, I would say. But when it is on an informative topic, I get very much restricted, and then I was not able to basically create a structure for my essay, and then the flow was missing during the first. So in the next attempt, I at least had an idea that there may be a case wherein I'll have to write a philosophical essay and an informative essay. So I started preparing on those lines, that even for informative essays, I need to have that sort of an information. I need to organize the flow of the essay in that particular manner. So I would say practice is the main thing for essay. You need to write at least 10 to 11 essays before going into the examination. And you need to write at least 2 papers wherein you are writing 2 essays in a period of 3 hours. So that should be the way ahead.
Now moving on to the interview stage. What was your strategy for the interview stage? How did you prepare your DAF?
So my strategy was only this thing, that I would prepare my DAF very extensively. And secondly, I would also focus on current affairs. That was very important for me, because having come from USA, I needed a lot of knowledge about international affairs, whatever thing was going on. Then creating an opinion, because Afghan issue was very much high at that time.
Right.
So was US right? And I decided that I was always going to take a stand. I was not trying to balance between these things. Okay, I may give a point that this may impact in this manner, but I was going to take a stand. I was not going to be diplomatic in anything. And then I practiced speaking in front of the mirror. So it is up to us whether you want to give 3 or 4 mocks, or whether you want to give 10 or 12 mocks. But since the process was very long, because results were announced on 23rd March. My interview was on 16th of September. So there was a 6-month long time period, and then I just didn't want to keep not talk to 5 respected panel members for a long amount of time, just because I had a long time to go. I always kept in continuous touch with whatever happenings are there. I always continuously kept interacting with people, and I believe that helped me a lot during the final interview.
So basically, all your hard work you devoted towards your interview actually paid off. So that's amazing. So one last thing, how was your experience with the mock session at Insight Academy?
Yeah, so at the Insights Academy, I still remember Baliyan Sir had asked me a question, about the current affairs with respect to the mechanical engineering.
Yeah.
So one of the questions was, Vinayak, people are going out in space. So what are the mechanical engineering related things which are utilized in this particular case? So I immediately started thinking that, okay, questions can come on these lines too. Being a mechanical engineer and current affairs based, you need to go on those lines. Then there was like one very basic question of mechanical engineering which Sir asked, but I was not able to answer. So I was like, okay, I need to give like 1 or 2 more revisions for mechanical engineering before going into the interview. And the panel was really nice. Like even I said to Sir at that time that it was pretty diverse interview. There were questions on history, international affairs, as well as my experience in the US or my education and job background. Overall, the experience was very nice.
It was a wonderful session with you today, and all the very, very best for your future endeavors. Thank you so much for joining in with us.
Thank you so much.